Hello everyone and good morning. It is Memorial Day this morning. And how is everybody today? Gosh, I got 5 minutes. I have been so busy. I've got all my gardens planted. I can't wait to do a little update and show you how they're all looking. It turned out beautiful. And then we have been, and I got a video coming in that too. Well, that's going to take a little longer because it's taken us a little longer to plant our big garden up at the farm. We've been busy with that. Everybody got your tea or your coffee. I'm drinking, this morning I've got blackberry cinnamon tea, and it's fantastic. I love this stuff. Okay, so I've been horrifically busy. My husband's been home for 4 days. He just left a little bit ago. I got all the gardens done. Now the grass has got to be mowed. I got a few things to tell you. I've had quite the week. Okay. First off, my gardens are done. Everything's planted. I just got to go through and throw in some flowers here and there. And I got one flower bed that I want to get planted. But my vegetable gardens had to come first. I got my pond finished. And I turned that all into herbs and grasses. And I've got just a little splash of flowers by my pond. So my pond is all done. I got a brand new pump. My mother got me that pump for my pond. It was my birthday present. So that was nice too. We've been working on the big garden up at our farm. And I mean huge garden. That garden up there is 17,500 square feet of garden. That's a whopper. It's just a little under a half acre. So anyway, if you don't want to break that down, that breaks down. Our garden is 250 feet long by 70 feet wide. It's beautiful. And we've got it half planted. So we're going to finish that up. Hopefully today, this afternoon, we're going to work on it. This evening, we're supposed to get some, some severe thunderstorms. And you never know in Michigan, because we were supposed to get rain all weekend, and it was beautiful all weekend long. So now they're saying that the storm is going to come probably this evening. I never believe it until it actually hits, because there's so many times it either blows over, above, north of us or south of us. Anyway, with the garden, we, oh my gosh, we got so much stuff in there. We hauled not all the plants. I still got a half a greenhouse full of plants. But we hauled at least half of them up there, got quite a bit of it planted. We still got, half of the trailer load, the rest to plant. And then if there's any room left in the garden, then we're going to put the rest of the plants from the greenhouse in there. And my mom, she's like, because we planted, I bet you about 200 tomato plants. But this is going to feed a lot of people. And my mother, she said, we're going to have to get a few tables, because what we plan to do is, we've got 6 families with this garden, and of course we're going to have an abundance of everything. So we're just going to put do a little market stand, but just give it away. Just take it, use it, especially during this pandemic. People are scurrying and sweating and scared and, digging and clawing and scratching to try and put food in their cupboards or on their table, especially during this time. So that will help some people. Anyway, we thought we were going to have a big expense. Now, I grew all the plants. I purchased the seeds, and everybody had their own job in our garden, because we got 6 families, that in our immediate family. And I know I say that. I should tell you. It's my mom and my dad, my husband and I, my sister-in-law and her husband, my son and his daughter, and my daughter and her family. And then, well, we could have actually 7 because my other daughter. So there's quite a few families it's going to feed, and it's going to feed a lot of extra too. Anyway, we thought we were going to have a nice big expense because we need to put a fence around this, because otherwise it's just nothing but a big salad bowl for the deer. And you don't go through all that work to feed the deer. Sorry. And I know somebody made a comment that how come we can't plant something on the outside of the fence for the deer to eat? Well, that sounds lovely, but you see, deer know no boundaries. And if they're on the outside of that fence eating, they're going to get through that fence. So I'm not going to do anything. We are not doing anything to attract the deer to that garden, because that is our winter supply of food. And it's going to help feed others as well. So, you know what? The deer, we've got 400 acres on that tree nursery. They can go on the other side and eat corn. They're not eating in the garden. And, you know, it's just not going to happen. And I don't feel bad. I'm sorry. I'm not putting all this time and effort and work and money into this huge garden to feed deer. Nope. Anyway, we thought we were going to have a big expense with the fence. We put up the one side 250 feet of brand new chicken wire, which ultimately cost us about $160. And we thought, gosh, we're gonna get some more, because we got to go all the way around this garden. We can't just, what's the sense? We can't leave an end open, or anywhere in that fence we cannot leave open, because deer and critters will walk that perimeter to get in, find a way into that garden. So my sister-in-law, I said, oh my gosh, we're going to have to, this is going to cost us about $700 to fence off this garden. We just don't, you don't have that kind of money to just fence off a garden. I don't care who you are. Anyway, so my sister-in-law, she says, you know what, she says, I walk all over, she walks all over the nursery every day. That's because there's 2 tracks through there and everything. It's beautiful. And it makes for a nice walk, a peaceful walk. Anyway, she said during her walk, she has seen rolls of chicken wire. Though it was rusty looking, she said, let's go check it out before we waste any money or spend any money on this. She says, let's go check out this chicken wire. So here she comes carrying these big things of chicken wire. And you know what, folks? She found enough chicken wire that we completely finished off our fencing. Amazing. So that was the perfect thing. She found that. It saved us a whole lot of money. We repurposed, we reused. No, it's not the prettiest stuff, because some of it had holes in it, but then we did find a roll that was kind of falling apart, and we just used pieces of it to just patch the bigger holes. So it's not pretty, but it's efficient, and that's what I always say. It doesn't have to look good. It's just got to be efficient and work. So we got that done, and we even got a gate. One of the, I don't know which one, but somebody brought a gate for the garden fence. So we've got that put up. So it's all done, and we're planting, and we're excited. There's a lot of stuff growing in there, and it's just going to be productive, because that ground up on the soil up on the farm is just rich and beautiful and full. It's just loaded, and everything grows beautifully up there. And so we've been working on that. That's been fun. I had to get a truckload, a half a truckload of, I've got a friend of mine who brought me, well, I bought it from him, but very inexpensive. Pretty much just covered his gas to get it here. But he brought me a truckload of composted cow manure. Because, anyway, I always do my compost every year. I never buy compost because I always make my own. And I always have a plenty from one year to the next. Well, this year, friends, I have, my compost has been in, it's like a little box, and it's got chicken wire all around the sides of it. In fact, last year, if you see any of my videos, it's where I grew 2 beautiful patty pan squash, because it was what was left over in my compost, and I just left it sitting where I had it, and just threw some squash seed in there. Holy cow, that was huge in that compost. Anyway, so this year, I thought, well, you know what? I got some topsoil, and I thought I'll just mix it with my compost, and it'll amend my beds, and it'll be beautiful, which it would have been. So I lifted up that crate. It's not a crate, it's a big box with chicken wire on it. I don't know what you'd call it. But I lifted it up on the side because the top's empty, or the top's open and the bottom's open. And I started to dig because I had my other pile sitting right next to it. And I'm just digging away, getting it all thrown over on the other pile of dirt. And I put my foot on that shovel and I pushed, and my foot went all the way through. I about had a stroke, friends. But here's what happened. When they tore down the house that used to be on the property that we bought, they left the hole. I always tell you about the big gaping hole in the yard. Well, apparently by law, they're supposed to crush the septic tank. Well, the septic tank was never caved in and filled in. And the septic tank, unbeknownst to me, was literally right under my pile of compost. So when I shoved my foot in, the septic was so old, it's probably out of the 30s. The top caved in, the top of that septic tank caved in, and right on through we went. So I caught myself, thank God, I would have fell in it. But I caught myself, and all my compost went right down into that septic tank. And I was like heartsick. It's like, oh, I'm not going down there to dig it out. And I'm looking down there, I got the flashlight, and I'm looking down in that septic tank, and it's all brick. So you know it's old. It's not the cement like we have nowadays. It looked like white chimney blocks. And my husband, he said, well, are you sure? Maybe it's a root cellar. And I said, well, I don't know how it could be a root cellar. Where would the entrance be? You know, it's not a root cellar. It's a septic tank. It's an old-fashioned septic tank. So, lo and behold, because they didn't cave it in and bury it, we have no way of caving this in. And right now I've got a hole in my yard about the size of my table here. I put the basket back over it so that no animals or nobody, especially my grandkids, I was like, that's the first thing I thought was, oh my God, they could have fell in this, you know. But thank God, at least I had my compost. I'd rather lose my compost into the septic tank than have anybody fall and get hurt. Now, the septic tank out there is empty. It's just got some dirt in the bottom. But it would hurt you on the way down. So, we're just going to haul in, I think my husband said probably 5 yards of sand. We'll fill that tank in. And we'll be good. But that was nuts. I just was beside myself. And I thought, if that's a code or ordinance or law or whatever you want to call it, it seems like you could go back on that person or that company that was supposed to take care of that and make them finish that job. But I'm not a sue happy person. I'm not out to get anybody in trouble. All it's going to take is 5 yards of sand to fill it in, $6 a yard, we're good to go, problem solved. But it scared the holy bejesus out of me in the meantime, I'll tell you that much. I thought for sure I thought it was a sinkhole. I thought, oh my gosh, the whole yard's going to go into this sinkhole. When my foot went through and it just kept right on going. I almost lost a shovel down in there. Friends, I literally thought I was in the midst of a sinkhole. Yeah, have you ever been so scared you tasted adrenaline? Well, that was me that day. I think it took me 6 hours to calm down from that. That scared me so bad. Like your life flashing before you. But anyway, after you get to looking at it and you calm down and you process the whole shebang, it's like, okay, so this is an old septic tank. It's not that deep, but yet it would hurt if somebody fell in it or an animal would get trapped in it, you know. I don't want no. We got a lot of cats out there. They're not our cats, but they're stray cats. And I wouldn't want none of them to fall in there. They'd fall right in there. So my husband said, well, we could probably put some more bricks down there. We could go down to the edge of town where they have, it's not a dump, but you can put rocks and compost, you know, leaves and nothing, no garbage or anything. Cement, broke up cement. There's a lot of broken up cement down there. And my husband said, you know what? We could probably go ahead and put some of the broken up cement into that hole, you know, and fill it somewhat. And then top it off with the sand. He said, and that should be, you know, that should keep it nice. To where, you know, it would fill it in good. I got something sticky on my table. Or on my arm. I think it's honey from my tea. Anyway, so we've had quite an eventful week. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. And I've been getting lots of eggs. The chickens are doing fantastic. I'm still working and stocking the pantry. I did turkey bone broth. I told you I had another canning project. I didn't do a video on it because I've already got a video on turkey bone broth, but that turned out gorgeous. My friend gave me a beautiful turkey carcass. She called me up. It was cute. She says, I don't want to offend you, but I'm roasting this beautiful turkey and I'm just going to debone it. She says, do you want the carcass? And I'm like, of course, don't throw it out. I'll make some beautiful bone broth with that. So she gave me the carcass, and of course I made my bone broth and threw in an onion and a couple carrots and some celery and peppercorns and, whatnot. Some salt, give it some flavor. But I let it simmer for like 18 hours on my stove, just slow cook all night, all day. And then I canned it up. And let me tell you, out of that turkey carcass she gave me, I got 14 quarts of beautiful bone broth that didn't cost me a dime except for an onion, couple carrots, and some celery and some thyme. Absolutely wonderful. What a gift for the pantry. And yes, friends, I hope everybody's still working on the pantry, even though we're busy with gardens. And there's a lot of people doing their own gardens, and it's so nice to see. But you can't find any more fencing. That's why we hunted high and low for the chicken wire, because there's no chicken wire to be found anywhere. Everybody's doing their own gardens, and they're using it for fencing, which is smart. It's a smart thing to do. Anyway, so you can't find a lot of things because it's in such high demand now. But I'm still working on my pantry in the midst of planting gardens and getting everything ready for winter. I'm still working on the pantry. I don't do much grocery shopping. Right now I've got I'm adding to my pantry right now because I am trying to do no waste. Okay, it's a good way to build up a little bit of pantry and save some money as well. Because I really don't have any waste on my homestead anyway, because what we don't eat, if I got, the other day, I did the onions, the peppers, and celery, I think it was. I dehydrated. I wanted to use it up because it was looking like it needed to get used up and pulled out of the fridge before it did go bad. So I dehydrated that up. That's already done in the pantry, you know, all taken care of. I dehydrated a few of my bags of frozen vegetables that I had in the freezer that I didn't want to get freezer burn. They're already done in the pantry. I dehydrated cabbage. You'll see that video. And I still got more cabbage to dehydrate. My poor dehydrator's been on overdrive. But I really don't have any waste on my homestead simply because what we don't eat, I dehydrate, and what would normally be wasted, you know, thrown out, whatever, in the garbage, the chickens, I save stuff that the chickens can eat that I can't dehydrate, you know, can't refreeze, whatever. It goes into a bucket that if we don't eat it, and I save it for the chickens. And when I feed the chickens that, it cuts down on the amount of feed I have to give them, which in turn cuts down on the expense. So nothing on my homestead goes to waste. And I'm glad of that. Now if I didn't have the chickens, I'd have a little waste. But I've got people that come over too. I mean, it has cut down on my feed bill tremendously because I have people that want to get eggs from me. And I don't sell my eggs. I will not sell my eggs during this time because it helps feed somebody. Take them. You know, I've got 5 dozen sitting in my refrigerator right now, and, you know, I'm getting about 16, 18 eggs a day. Most of the time I'm by myself here, so they add up pretty quick. But anyway, everybody says, well, I don't feel right just taking your eggs. I got to give you something for them. And I said, you know what? I tell everybody, just bring me a little bucket of your vegetable scraps. I said, save your veggie scraps and you know, your kitchen scraps and whatever, and bring it over, your bread, just nothing moldy. I said, bring them some old, I don't care if it's stale, it just can't be moldy, and bring me some of that, and they'll gladly give you eggs. You know, they'll give you all kinds of eggs. So that's what I've been doing. And it's cutting down on my feed bill, so it works perfect. They still get their grain, they still get their scratch, but just not as much because they're loading up on goodies. And my birthday, it was my birthday on the 19th was my birthday, and my neighbor, it was so cute. She come over and she's carrying this big heavy box, and she put it on my table and she looks at me and she says, we'll just barter for some vegetables later in the fall. Well, I open up this box and here's like 40 pounds of these beautiful, huge sweet onions. They're like Vidalia onions, I think they are. Anyway, all I could think of was, oh my gosh, I'll give you all the veggies you want, regardless whether you give me something or not. You know, you're my neighbor. I said, but oh my gosh, this is like Christmas. I got 40 pounds of onions. And all I could think of was French onion soup for the pantry. How wonderful. I'll be able to dry some of them. I shared a few of them with my other friend and a few people I knew that could use some, you know, that could use them. Because she gave me so many. And I thought, the rest of what I got, I'm going to dehydrate a few and I'm going to make French onion soup with the rest. How wonderful is that? Free. I'm just loving it. We do a lot of bartering and trading up here. And especially during a time like this, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And one person was telling me not too long ago, now I don't know how true it is because some people you just can't believe everything that's said, and you just can't. Sometimes it's unbelievable. This was unbelievable, but I never buy eggs, so I gave them the benefit of the doubt. They told me that there was a grocery store not too far from here where they went in to get a dozen and a half package of eggs. You know, 18 eggs. Yeah, 18 eggs. And they were selling them for $12. And I'm like, what? I've got 10 dozen eggs in my fridge at the time. I'm like, what? Why? why is there a shortage on eggs? You really can't do a whole lot with eggs. You know, they're best when they're fresh. I mean, I'm sure you could make scrambled eggs and dehydrate them down into powder, but it just doesn't sound good, does it? Anyway, I couldn't believe it. $12 a dozen for eggs. And I still think there's something fishy about that. But, like I said, I never buy eggs. And my duck is laying eggs. And my other neighbor, she's just a beautiful person. She told me she wanted to make, she says, oh, I love duck eggs. She says, those make wonderful bread pudding. I gave her a whole dozen of duck eggs. Here you go, make your bread pudding, you know. Yum. So she's going to bring me a piece of bread pudding. But anyway, busy. I'm having a ball this summer. Despite what's going on, I have spent enough time since this started worrying and scared and hiding away in my house and thinking the worst possible scenario of everything, you know, listening to the media, and it's nuts. It will make you nuts. Nuts, I'm telling you. So I finally gave it to the good Lord. I can't do this no more. I got to get back to life. I've got to get back to who I am. Of course, 90% of us have never lived through a pandemic such as this before, where we've been locked down and, you know, I mean, we've seen H1N, what was it, the swine flu or bird flu and Ebola and Zika, and I mean, we've seen that, but nothing like this. We've never been locked down in our homes, so this was rough. It's been rough since early March, and that's enough. I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to go out and live my life like it's not prominent out there, but I'm not going to sit in the house and worry and be scared. I got my gardens to plant. I got to get ready. And for winter, whether we get this, you know, whether it breaks out again or not, I have no idea. I don't think anybody really truly knows, but we got to get ready for winter anyway. Winter's coming. Sure as the sun's going to set tonight, winter's coming. We have to get our pantries ready for winter. And you know what? Just put a little extra in that pantry just in case this comes around and you're locked down again. You never know what's going to happen. So stock them pantries, people. Right in the middle of talking, my camera died. Anyway, what was I talking about? People that are starting their own gardens. That is so nice to see, because they're gonna love it. They'll continue it all the time. It's just wonderful to have your own garden. It's like your own little food security. If you're in an area where you can also get a few backyard chickens, those are wonderful too. I love my backyard chickens. And the eggs are fantastic. You know, you're not going to get rich off them, but, you know, you can sell some of the eggs to help subsidize the feed. Or you can, you know, share your eggs with the needy and do some bartering and trading. So there's a lot of things you can do to work on being a little self-sufficient. So anyway, with all that being said, after my camera died, I got a phone call, so we're going to go up today and we're going to finish planting the garden, which is going to be another all-day job. And then that'll be done. I got to go out and water some of my plants out there. Granted, they say it's going to rain tonight, but they've said that for the last 3 days, so they need some water now. I watered them yesterday morning. I need to give them a little shot again today because the sun's been beaten down and it's been pretty warm up here. About 85 degrees. Some of you think that's not hot down in my friends down in the south, but that's hot up here. It's beautiful though. But anyway, so that's just a little of what's been going on with me. And The pantry, I think I was telling you about, you know, my no waste and dehydrating stuff and freezing stuff. And, you know, even I showed you about the video about potatoes. You know, I've got a video on how to freeze mashed potatoes, and many of you have asked me how do you reheat them? You know what? I don't have a microwave, but if you use a microwave, you can pop them in the microwave, and they get a little bit runny, but they firm right up in the microwave. Now me, I just throw mine in the oven, and it heats through just fine. But you can use a microwave. But the hash browns, I showed you how you can freeze potatoes with American fries, hash browns, or mashed. You can do the same thing with sweet potatoes. It's wonderful. I've been showing you how to dehydrate stuff. Many of you have given me comments about how thankful they are that I show you those things. I try and show you everything I do because believe me, I have lived. I've learned this stuff through life, just living life. I have lived on both sides of the track. I have lived so poor, and I can survive. I can survive poor. It's like my husband said, what are we going to do if everybody loses our jobs, if this comes back in the fall? And he says, I'm a little bit concerned about that. He says, what if I, don't have my job? I don't want to lose our house. Well, our house will be paid off next April. It's, we don't have but a few months to pay on it. And I just looked at him and I said, you know what? We got this. I says, I am an expert at living poor and simple. We can do this. So that's why I share all this stuff with you. Not because I think everybody lives poor and simple. It's just, it helps. It helps when you dehydrate and cut down on your waste. Ultimately, it will save money in your pocket. And it will fill your pantry, and you can do it with merely nothing. You can do it with merely nothing. I've done it. I know. I'm living proof that you can live simple. So that's a good thing. So I got this. If something devastating happens, and speaking of that, I'm telling you, I salute our people that everybody calls preppers, our preppers. I salute them. They are fantastic. They know what's going on. They always tell us, and I'm not a prepper, but I do have a nice amount of food stored up. I'm not a hoarder. I know people talk about hoarding food but people hoard toilet paper. Food is you can't hoard it. You know what I mean? It doesn't go bad. Food in your cupboards is like money in the bank. And our prepper friends who have just stockpiles of food for they've prepped for years, it's great. And they always say, well, you gotta prep and save up food for when what hits the fan. Well, you know what? In the last 3 months, what hit the fan. And there was a lot of people that were freaking out and, didn't know how long they were going to be. They were in a crisis. And there's people that are still in a crisis. They lost their job. They don't have food. They don't know where their next dollar's coming from to pay their house payment or their car insurance or their gas bill or whatever. It's a scary, scary thought. And if you're in the middle of that crisis, it can be devastating. Devastating. So I salute the preppers. So don't think that just because you're buying some extra and you're going to fill your freezer up, it's not hoarding food. Not at all. Not at all. Do it. Stock yourself up. Be self-sufficient as you can possibly be. And do everything as budget friendly as you possibly can. Though right now, nothing's on sale. I looked and, what is it, beef, a piece of steak went from being $9 a pound to $16 a pound. Burger, I mean, I don't want to brag, but I was smart about it. I could see this coming. And I'm sure a lot of preppers could, but I'm sure other people never give it a thought. some people never gave it a thought, that they're so, they take for granted our food supply is like untouchable. But friends, it isn't untouchable. Our food supply could possibly be in trouble. We don't know. But stock yourself up. And what was I saying? Oh, the price of, I bought all my burger. I bought a bunch of meat. I filled my freezer with chicken, beef, and pork, and all that about, what was it, 2 weeks? 2 weeks before the price went through the roof. And now, let's see, I bought my burger from my local butcher. I think Meijer still has it. It's creeping up, but now it's starting to come down a little bit. But Meijer had a decent price. But my local butcher, I think burger here got up to about $8 a pound. And I got all my burger when it was, $4.19, $4.50 a pound. So I stocked up really, but I seen it coming. And I warned people, and some people said, we'll be just fine. We got enough food. They're only throwing it out because the schools aren't buying and the restaurants aren't buying as much, but we got enough food. Well, yeah, we probably got enough, but who can afford it? So, thank you, Jesus. I did mine early. I saw it coming and I gathered it, and I hope a lot of you did the same. I know that somebody had talked to me about freezer. Oh, I'm going to go get a freezer. I'm going to go get a freezer. There's not a freezer to be found, at least not here in Michigan. I don't know about where you are, but there's not a freezer to be found. It's just like the chicken wire for gardens. There's no chicken wire to be found. It's all gone. And people are doing their own gardens. They're stocking their freezers. The toilet paper is back on the shelves, but that's because they got 90,000 packs sitting in their garage. The toilet paper isn't going to do you any good. That's what you call panic buying, I think. They don't know how long they're going to be in, so they got to have toilet paper. I'd rather have noodles and rice and all that other stuff. I can make toilet paper, Anyway, you can make baby wipes. Works wonderful. In a pinch, it works wonderful. But stock your pantries, and don't think you're hoarding food. I mean, when I think of somebody hoarding food, I think of, somebody going to the grocery store and there's 15 packs of hamburger and they take 14 packs. Well, that, you're not leaving anything for anybody else. But when you go to the store and you get, you might have 20 pounds of burger in your freezer already. It doesn't hurt to buy another pack. Add to it. That's how you stock up. That's perfect. But when you see people going in and they got a cart full of hamburger and they're not thinking of anybody else, that's like buying in vain, and that's just not right, And I don't shop much any different, except I did stock my freezer and I did buy all the meat. But I didn't take what was on the shelf. I placed my order so that when my local butcher ordered his meat, he ordered mine extra. So therefore I wasn't taken away from anybody in the grocery store. He didn't order the meat and I go in there and buy the whole meat case and leave it bare for anybody else. I ordered mine extra. And if you got a local butcher or a local grocery store, they can do that for you. So there's a lot of things you can do. And I am so proud of the schools. I know a lot of people have been screaming that our and this is not a rant. A lot of people have been screaming that we're still paying taxes, but the school's not opened. I don't know how things are in your area, but I know in our area up here where we live, I don't even know about the rest of the state. I only know our school district in this area. And let me tell you, friends, the school has been delivering meals to the children every single day. That on like Tuesdays and Thursdays, the parents can go to the school and they pick up bags of food. It might be cereals and lunches and sandwiches and stuff, but you know what? That stuff can be put in your freezer. You can use it to feed the kids. That's what it's for, but they're making sure that people are eating, at least the children. And it's wonderful. You see the school bus go by, not a child on the bus, but it's got a couple adults, one in the front, one in the back, and they just got, all the seats are full of bags of food that they're delivering. So you know what? I don't complain about paying the taxes because they're still doing their part. And bless their hearts for what they're doing for our kids. Because I'm telling you, there's a lot of kids that are going to go hungry. There's a lot of kids that don't come from the greatest of families, that at school is where they get treated good, they're not abused. And I'm not talking about every family. I'm talking about, some of the children that don't live in the greatest conditions. School is their amazing grace. And they get fed good there, and sometimes that's the only meal they get is when they're at school. So, bless their hearts. Because our school is using the tax dollars, that's fine. You give them babies food because nobody should go hungry. And I've even gotten, because my grandkids come here, the school makes sure, though they don't live in bad conditions and they do have food, but they have given so much food out that some of the people know that I know a lot of people. How do I say this? I know a lot of people who can use extra food. I've got my circle of friends and we always pack together extra stuff and it always comes into this pantry and I share it. I never keep anything. What you see in my pantry is what I either canned up myself or bought with my own money because I don't keep that. I'm okay. I'm not in need. So all the food comes in here and I call people. You got it. Well, the other day, my friend, she says, hey, I'm bringing so-and-so over and do you got any extra cheese? The bricks of cheese that I always get from my one friend. My lights are flickering. Hang on a minute. Anyway, I said to her, yes, I got cheese. Well, she said she's got 4 grandkids that she's taking care of under 5. And she says, I just don't have enough groceries. Oh my gosh, I gave her all the sandwiches that I got from the school, all the little snacks, the juice boxes, the applesauce. Plus I gave her a whole bunch of extra stuff that, we always have stocked up, my friends and I, from the cereal and stuff like that. So she went out of here and I know those kids are going to eat, and that's what it's for. That's what it's for. That's what we do. That's just our little circle of friends. That's the things we do. We don't do it to get rewarded. We don't do it to seek acknowledgement. We don't do it to be praised. Nothing like that. We just do it because people need this. And, you just got to help. So that's what we do. So when you always see me showing you my free food and my big grocery hauls or free commodities or whatever it is, I do videos on it all the time. You can see what comes in, what all these people have gathered, all my friends have gathered, and I as well. You can see what comes in, and none of it stays here. The last one that I did, I had this whole thing packed with food, canned goods, everything, you name it was on it. I had boxes of cereal, I had cheeses, I had all kinds of stuff. It was just overflowing. And it all went to like 3 families. And my gosh, they were like kids in a candy store. And it's nice to be in a position with my other friends that we can gather this stuff and help others. That's what's nice about it. So that's what I do. I don't keep none of it. And I'm so proud of the school that they go through and, they'll give an abundance out. These kids aren't going hungry. And I'm just so thankful. I'm thankful. Because let's face it, not every child lives a storybook childhood. Though they should, They don't. So, gotta feed the babies. Gotta make sure they don't go to bed with a hungry tummy. And this way, I know they don't. Because at least I know, some people might say, oh, my kids don't eat this, and throw it in the trash, and throw it in the trash, and throw it in the trash. And it's like, no, my friends don't do that. My friends say, oh, my kids won't eat this, but Renee knows somebody who will take it. Thank you. Yes, I do. I know a lot of people who could use that, and I know a lot of people who appreciate it. And I know a lot of people who it's mostly what they survive on. So, with that being said, that's enough. I'm proud of the school. Thank you, schools, for doing this for our children. And then my grandkids do their schooling online, and their teacher gets online and they do and that's not Snapchat, I don't know what it is. Zoom, I think. Zoom is what they call it. So it's so cute because now they're doing school. And of course it's easy for me to work with that because I homeschooled my children. My children maybe went to public school maybe a few years, and that was it. I homeschooled them. So I'm good at sitting down with my grandkids, and when I homeschooled my kids, I did my own curriculum and everything. But my grandkids got a curriculum. They got the teacher that does the Zoom with them. So I get to help them with their schoolwork, and it's really fun, and it does bring back old memories, and it makes new ones as well. So I'm enjoying that. And they're doing real good with it. And we read, and we do all kinds of stuff. And we even do domestic science. My friend was teasing me. She says, how did you teach your kids, how'd you teach your daughter science? Because my son, you know, we did mechanics and stuff like that. And he, you know, he's a licensed mechanic now. But that wasn't credited to me. I won't take the credit for that. I just taught him little things and mechanics and stuff like that. But my daughters, it's hilarious because I've had friends ask me, well, what did you teach them with science? What did you do in science? How, you know, because you think of science projects. And I just looked at them and I said, my daughters are experts at domestic science. They're experts at domestic science. Yep, my girls did science. But I used to take them, and we'd go on field trips when I homeschooled them. We did all kinds of stuff. And yes, we did domestic science. Their houses are the cleanest around. And they know how to organize, and they got their pantries. Domestic science. I taught them homesteading. I taught them all kinds of stuff. And I'm very proud because when my children graduated, they graduated with, two of them graduated with the 3.9 and one graduated with 3.8 average. So I was proud. What I did worked. And I worked with them diligently. But my daughter, my youngest daughter, when she started into her 11th grade year, she said to me, Mom, I want to go to public school. I don't want to be homeschooled no more because you're robbing me of my social life. And my heart sunk. I thought, oh my, you know, you're learning so much. She won the battle. I said, all right, I'll let you go back to public school. But if I don't think it's doing you good, I'm going to pull you out again and we're going to do this. So she promised me she would do real good. Well, between her and I, it was fine. But when I went to enroll her in the school, because she had been homeschooled for so many years, they said, well, she has to go back into the 9th grade. And she has to be, you know, she has to collect her credits. She don't have any credits. And I said, no, we won't be doing this. I said, but I tell you this much. If you test her with an outside independent agency, whatever level she tests in, even if it's the 7th grade level she tests in, I will stand behind that 100%. And you can start her out wherever you want. I said, but whatever level she tests in, that's the level I want her to be at. So if she tests at 11th grade level, I want her to gather those credits. You can give her those credits because that means she's done good. So I was on pins and needles for 2 weeks thinking, I hope I did good by him. I hope I did good by my kids, and I hope she does well, because I did my best, friends, to teach her. Well, 2 weeks later, the principal called me and he said, okay, we need to talk. I got to talk to you about her test results and stuff and see where, we're going to be placing her. And I thought, oh no, I didn't do very good, and I'm thinking, oh, I hope I did. Well, I went in there and I sat down in his office and I was waiting for the worst news possible that, I didn't get her past 8th grade or whatever. And he just looked at me and he smiled and he said, he said, some parents that homeschool their children, he said, I don't really think they homeschool them. I think it's just, especially in our area, he said, I think they just let them, run the roads and do whatever they want and they don't take it seriously. He said, but you are a little different. He said, and we really don't know what to do or where to put Beverly because she tested college level. The beginning of her 11th grade year, she tested out in college level. Everything college level. And I about busted up crying and I thought, oh, here I was worried that I didn't get her past 8th grade and I got her all the way into college level. I worked with them so hard. And I was so proud. I said, well, you can never learn enough math. You can never learn enough history. She can do some working in the cafeteria, learn a little more work ethics. There's a lot of things you can do for her. But she graduated. She stayed in school, 11th and 12th grade, so that he gave her all her credits to 11th grade, and then she earned them the rest of the way by doing other stuff. And she graduated with a 3.9. I was so proud of her. I was the mother that was in the back of the gymnasium just a-bawling when she graduated. I was so proud. But my sister-in-law just called me a little bit ago when my camera died, and we're going to go up. We need to go up and finish planting the garden at the farm. But for now, I gotta go, friends. It's been nice chatting with you. I'm sorry my videos are a little sporadic, but this is the busiest time right now. But I promise you we'll get rolling again, and I'll be sharing a lot of stuff with you. I love you all. You all have a good day, and I'll see you again.